Hi guys and girls. Um, you might see I'm a bit red in my face, and that's part of the story that I want to tell you today. So I learned a good biking lesson, mountain biking lesson, and I guess some good business lessons as well today, which I wanted to share with you. So I bought myself a e-bike recently. For those of you who don't know what an e-bike is, it's basically a mountain bike, but it's got a battery, so it basically sort of doubles or triples the amount of power that you put in. So incredible. So you're able to go much further. And I'm not that fit, so I bought myself an e-bike just to get going again, and yeah, just to help me a bit to get going. Show you what it looks like. This is what an e-bike is. So it looks like a normal mountain bike, but you'll see there's a battery, sort of a fat piece in the middle. That's the battery that keeps you going. So so I set out this morning on really the first longish ride with this e-bike, and it's got a few settings. So it's got a normal setting where it's basically like a normal mountain bike, but the problem is it's quite heavy. You saw it's quite a heavy bike, so it's actually quite difficult to just to use it as a normal bike. And then it's got a economical. That's the first sort of push, if you want to call it that way. Then it's got a, what did I say? Now you start with off. The first setting is off, so then it's all your own pedaling. Then there's a economical, then there's a normal, and then there's a sport, which obviously gives you the fastest boost. So anyway, so I set out this morning. It's a beautiful day. Sun is shining. Incredible day. And wow, it was awesome. I've put it in sport mode. It was just incredible. The speed, I was enjoying it. I got to the mountain range where I wanted to cycle, and I started to trek up. And again, it was beautiful. I went up the mountain. It was spectacular views, and it was just so easy. The sporting mode just really made it go very fast. And I went up the mountain. There was some beautiful single tracks which I took. It was really incredible. And then when I was quite a distance away, I could sort of look back to where home is and where I was supposed to go to. And I was sort of starting to try and make out where which direction I must take home, because it's quite a hilly area and there's a lot of farms. So some of them, they are gated, and others are open, so they're never really sure the direction that you're gonna or the road that you'll be able to take. And so I saw home. I turned around and I started to trek back. Oh, it was incredible. There was forests. There was single tracks, around the dams. It was just beautiful. And I saw where I needed to go, and I took a road, and I saw quite a nice road that led up. There was sort of a very large mountain that I had to climb over before I got home. And I took the road and I went up, and while all of this was happening, I saw that my battery of my bike is dropping slowly. Every now and again I would switch it to off mode or the economical mode, where it's supposed to hold, last longer. And I was sort of starting to nurture it, but I saw this nice, this hill, and I knew home is, not far from there. So I pushed it up there, I put it in sport mode. When I got to the top, however, there was an electric fence that blocked my way. So I turned left, and I sort of rode along this electric fence, and it turned left again. And eventually I realized I'm on a farm that's completely surrounded with electric fence, which might sound normal to you depending on which part of the world you are from. But where I stay, there's a lot of farms that's not gated, so you often get a spot where you can just go through. So I literally I went all the way around this farm, and I realized it's completely gated, and I would have to cycle all the way back. And my battery was dropping. My battery was dropping fast. It was going 18%, 15%, 10%. And I realized I needed to go back, and I'm far away from home. So I think the first good decision that I made is I realized I can continue on these farm roads and try to find the way back home. But I quickly realized that I need to get to a tar road, because if my battery runs out, it's going to be a tough cycle on the gravel road. So that was the first good decision that I made. And I started to trek back to the tar road. got there. I nursed my battery as far as possible, put it in off mode, put it in economical mode, and I was starting to get heavy. I was starting to get super tired. I'm not fit at all. This was really my first ride in a very long time, and I was starting to get tired, and it felt like the bike is cycling through sand. And man, I stopped at a shop. I bought myself a big fat ball one just to get some sugar and some energy in my body. And I cycled back, and man, it was tough. And on my way home, if you take the tar road, there's sort of three quite hilly areas. Yes, and I was saving my battery, and I eventually got there, and I took the hills, and my legs was burning. It was on fire. My lungs was on fire. And eventually, when I got to the last hill, my battery, it just showed me that it can't go in normal mode and sport mode or anything anymore. It was just me and the bike, and I just had to cycle it out, and everything was burning. Eventually got to the top. Eventually turned into the complex where I stay. Super tired. Battery was dead. I'm so grateful it wasn't any further. And to top it off, when I stopped at home, I heard the dreadful sound, that sound of a flat battery, and I can show you. There's my battery. Not my battery, my tire, completely flat. So can you imagine that happened on the way, on the road, on top of everything? That would have been dreadful. So why do I tell you this story? I think it made me just think about business again, and just lessons learned, So I think firstly, the lessons that I learned in terms of my bike is it's the first time that I really went on a long ride. So I didn't know my equipment yet, and I set out on quite a long ride, which was adventurous, but probably not the wisest thing to do if you don't know your equipment. I was relying on a battery which wasn't fully charged. It was about 60% charged when I left here. And it was supposed to last, or what I thought. So again, I relied on the battery life, but I've never really tested it. It's only hearsay. I've never really tested it myself. So I just realized, I didn't leave anything in the tank. My tank was completely empty. My battery was empty. My legs was empty. I'm super unfit. And that made it a super tough ride. And I think in terms of business, it just made me think, it's important to always leave something in the tank. I think first lesson is to know your equipment, or know the capacity of your systems and your staff. Know how far they can go, and don't push them too hard before you know what they can do. Because I realized on that last hill, that was the important hill that I needed to get out, but my tank was empty and my resources was gone. So that was a great lesson that I learned. So know your resources, know your systems, know your staff, and don't push them into the red. I think it's important to leave some gas in the tank in terms of your systems and your cash flow. Always important to leave a buffer cash flow. You never know when clients will cancel on you. Contracts may end. There might be unforeseen circumstances, and you might be under cash flow pressure in your business. But if you leave some cash flow and you leave some surpluses in the tank, you'll be okay. And then make good decisions. I think when I was in trouble, I think it was a good decision to aim back for the tar road, rather take the longer route, but a route that I know I will probably be able to make on my, with the strength that's left in me. If I continued on the same path and I didn't want to change direction, I think I would have been in big trouble on a steep mountain without any battery life. So it's important to be able to stop and reassess once we strike troubles, and change our plans and go for it. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Hope you guys have a great day, and I learned some good lessons. Hope you guys learned some good lessons, and go out and smash it in your business. Cheers, eh?